Welcome back to my channel. My name's Kim, and today I wanted to talk about my bookish goals for 2025. So the first goal I had for 2025 was actually to start this booktube channel. So check off one. I knew I wanted to start this channel this year. I kind of didn't think I was going to be starting it so early, but I got a new PC for Christmas. So I was just like, you know what? This is my sign. I have what I need now. I can start this channel. So yeah, so I just was like, you know what? There's nothing holding me back other than just me trying and wanting everything to be perfect off the bat. And that's something I had to kind of let go of. I just needed to just use what I had, use my phone to film, not worry about having a fancy camera, not, worrying about having everything perfect off the bat, and just start. I think a lot of times that I use things like that kind of as an excuse, and I don't end up starting things because I'm like, well, I don't have this, and I don't have that, and I need to have the best and whatever. So yeah. So anyways, I started the channel, I'm very happy I did. I'm really enjoying making this content, and it's fun to talk to you guys about books and everything. So very glad that I did that. Another goal I have is a pretty simple one. I want to just read 100 books this year. My goal last year was 100, and I did beat that goal by 22 books. I read 122 last year. And I thought about upping the goal this year. I thought about doing maybe 125 or even 150, but ultimately I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to keep it at 100. And if I go over that, great. If I don't, also that's fine. You're a reader no matter how many books you read in a year, but it is one of my top passions. I'm always constantly reading a book, so 100 should be fairly doable for me. I do seem to be reading a little less than I did last year, especially just comparing how many books I'm going to probably get through this January as opposed to last January, but that's okay. That's okay. Like I said, if I don't hit it, that's fine too. But I would like to at least get 100 books done this year. Another goal I have is, I talked about this a little bit in my last video, is I want to DNF books if I'm not enjoying them. I have a really hard time with this. I feel like I get even just like 30-40% in, and I'm just like, well, I already put time into it, so I may as well just keep pushing and finish the book even if I'm not really having a good time. And I already fell victim to this once this year. I was reading a book, the last book I read, and especially I got to a part and I'm just like, I'm not enjoying this. Like, I should stop reading it. But no, I didn't. I pushed through. I mean, the book did get a tiny bit better, but I still ultimately gave it 2 stars, and I wouldn't recommend it. So I already failed at that once this year, but so hopefully I'll get better about it throughout the year. There's just so many books to read. There's so many good books to read. I shouldn't be spending my time on books that I'm just not enjoying. So yeah, hopefully another goal I can actually accomplish this year, at least a couple times maybe. We'll see. So today I counted how many physical books on my shelves I have that I have not read yet, and the total came up to 103 books. So on these shelves, you see there's 103 books there that I have yet to read. So I want to also make a goal to read at least 40 of those books this year. So, which might not be too hard because there are a lot on my shelves that I've been wanting to read. Sometimes some of the books on the shelves, I know nothing about them. I just bought them because either they were recommended to me, or they look good, or I read the back, they sounded good, or they're pretty. Some of these, especially some of these fantasy books, purely bought them because they're pretty. So, but yeah, so I would like to at least read 40 of those physical books this year because, I own them. So I already own them. I don't need to buy them. I don't need to, and so I should be reading them. My problem is I always get really distracted by either new books coming out or KU books. So, but yeah. So if I can at least read 40 this year of the physical TBR I have, I'll be happy. So another thing I would like to try this year is to go to some book events. I am actually technically going to one tomorrow, actually, for the Onyx Storm release. It's a Q&A with Rebecca Yaros, and I'm very excited about it. I'm going to be going with my sister and one of my good friends. So technically, I guess I already have planned to do a book event this year, but I really want to try to go to like a BookCon. There were a couple that came up last year. I talked to my friends about going, and we were gonna go, and then like, I don't know, I always end up chickening out. I don't know, I get nervous. I can't really explain why. I get nervous I don't know, I'm gonna look out of place or not know what I'm doing. I don't know. It's silly. I'll admit it's silly, but I do worry about it. So I always end up chickening out when it comes to like going to these events. But there's a specific one that happens in the fall that my friend and I were gonna maybe go to last year, and we kept like going back and forth, like, are we gonna go? Are we not gonna go? And we both ended up chickening out. So this year we promised each other we would go. So hold me to it, okay? It's gonna be in the fall. So I really want to make sure I try and go to some more of these events, because I don't know, I think they'd be really fun. I just have to get over that fear of actually going. And a lot of them end up having like authors I really like, and I can go meet them and have them sign my books, which would be awesome. So that's another goal this year. So I think if I can at least go to one more than the one I'm going to tomorrow, then I'd be happy. So if I can go to that one in the fall, then I'll be able to check that off the list too and say that I actually did it. So we'll see. We'll check back in with me in the fall. All right. Something else I want to be good about this year is keeping my reading journal up to date. I've already been struggling with this. I was good. I read my first book this year, and I filled out the page right away. And then I read 3 more books, and I just filled those out this morning. So I am up to date. I am up to date now. Did I have to do 3 in one day? Yes, which is what I really want to stop doing, because I want to write the reviews when they're fresh in my mind, especially with doing book content. I want to have something to refer back to like later down the line if I'm trying to do like tier lists or top 5 lists or whatever. I want to have like at least a simple review that came from me that will help me jog my memory about what the books were about. Because, overall, like I do remember the books I read, like overall, but sometimes there's like little tidbits and stuff that you kind of forget over time. So I want to be good about filling this out, like on time. Finish a book, fill out the paper. I need to like not allow myself to start a new book until I fill this out, but we'll see. I know I'm going to struggle with this. This one's probably going to be maybe the hardest thing on this list for me to stick with doing. But so book journal, reading journal, whatever you want to call it. So the last 2 goals on this list have to deal with reading certain types of books. And the first one is I want to read all of Elsie Silver's books this year. She currently has 3 series going. They're all cowboy romances. And I noticed when I was doing my tier list for last year that I actually did read a lot of cowboy romance last year, and I didn't even realize it. I thought like when I started Elsie Silver, I think I mentioned like, oh, I'm going to start my cowboy romance reading era, but I guess I already started that last year at some point. But anyways, I want to try to get through all her books. I started last December reading her Chestnut Springs series, and I read Flawless in December, and then this month I've read Reckless, and I'm currently reading Powerless, and I really, really like her writing style. I like her characters. She's making me like tropes that I don't typically like, so that's always a good sign. So I'm excited to read all her books, which I think I can do no problem, because I think I'll probably already have the Chestnut Springs series done by the end of February, hopefully. So, but yeah, I want to read all of her books. And then the other kind of like thing I want to do is there's certain series I would like to read this year. There's certain big series that I know people really love that I have never read. And the first one is the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I also don't really know much about any of these series, which I like. I kind of like not knowing much about them. Surprisingly I don't, because I know that they've been out for a while, and I haven't ever had anything ruined for me. But I want to get through the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I actually ordered the books yesterday, so they're on their way. So I'm hoping to be able to start that one soon. Another series I would like to get through this year is the Shatter Me series. I have the first book just because it had this pretty special edition came out, and I bought it even though I've never read them. So I think I'm just going to wait. I think they're doing them all like this in special edition, so I'll probably just wait and buy them all like this. But yeah, I also don't know anything about this series except that like people love the character, the book boyfriend in this. I think his name's Aaron Warner. People love him. They like people put him like #1 on book boyfriend lists all the time. So, you know, I'm looking forward to that. It was actually just recommended me again. I went to Barnes & Noble, I think like last weekend, and one of the workers there, her and I struck up a conversation, and she was like, oh, you know, if you want a really good book with a lot of yearning in it, this series, read this series. So I'm excited to hopefully get through this one this year as well. I think there's 10 or 11 books in the series, so this one will take me a little while, I think. And then the last series I want to try to get through is the Knock 'em Out series by Lucy Score. I also have special editions of these books, even though I've never read them, because, I mean, look how pretty these are. Look at these edges. So I had to buy these. So I hope I like these. I always get so nervous when I buy special editions of books I've never read, because I'm like, what if I don't like them? But you know what? It's just going to be shelf art. Even if I don't care for the book, they'll always look pretty on my shelves. But yeah, I don't know a whole lot about this. I know this one's a romance. The other two are fantasy series. This one's a romance series. So, yeah, I really want to get through these this year as well. So those are pretty much the bookish goals I have for myself for this year. I'll have to check in, maybe do some check-ins throughout the year to see how well I'm doing, especially when it comes to maybe keeping up the book journal or just the number of books I'm reading, which you guys, I'll probably be telling you guys that throughout the year, month to month, how many books I got done to meet that 100 book goal. But yeah, so what are some of your bookish goals for the year? I would love to know if you'd let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, I would love it if you liked, commented, and subscribe. You can also hit the bell button so you know whenever I upload a video. And I hope to see you in the next one.